Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm going to be talking about drawing inks. I'm going to be talking about sort of the history of drawing inks from around the world, and I'm going to be doing a little doodle while I do that. These are the inks I own. These are from Winsor Newton. These are the only ones I have. It's not going to change this year. I am currently doing a No Buy Art Supply. All the products I'm showing here I'll link in the description box. This is a plastic 6-well pan. If you are using inks in a plastic pan, know that they stain and that a magic eraser can help with that. So let's get started. From what I have read, sort of the oldest inks they have that they know about are from ancient Egypt on papyrus, but inks came from all over the world, and we're going to talk about that. So the ones from Egypt came from about 26th century BC, and the Egyptians used, you know, it was black inks. I think they had iron, they had ochre. A lot of places had ochre as pigments. I did a whole thing on the history of some pigments, and I will link those videos below if you are curious about some of that. There was phosphate, there was sulfate, chloride, carbolate, and there were all kinds of products that were used to sort of add and create for these inks. Now, the Chinese inks go back, they think 3 to 4 millennia, and to the Chinese Neolithic period. So China had inks for quite a while, and they used plants, animals, minerals, graphite that was found on the ground and applied with sort of ink brushes. Let's see. They had ink sticks around 256 BC. I think that is absolutely amazing. And they were produced from soot and animal glue. So that's going to be sort of a common theme. If you are someone that is conscientious about the ingredients and you don't like using animal product, that is definitely something you're going to have to research and be cognizant of when you purchase inks. What sort of glues and binders and things are in there. That's definitely something you want to research or ask companies. So, let's see. The best inks and drawings were on silk, and they were from resin from a tree in China. And so the pine tree, and that was between 500 to 100 years old. Indian ink was first invented in China. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I think that is fascinating because the name is sort of a misnomer, isn't it? And the materials were traded to China, which is kind of how it got the name. And the ink was used as it was ground up. And it was hide glue, it was carbon black, lamp black, bone black. And these pigments were sort of made with a mortar and pestle. They were poured into a ceramic dish, left to dry. And then these would then be sort of liquefied. And the manufacture of the Indian ink was, it was 200 to 265 AD. So lots of documents, famous and important documents, have this ink on them within Chinese culture and history. Ancient Rome had a bunch of inks. They used what was called atramentum, which was a black liquid. Oh gosh. I'll link the specific page about it, but it is a very specific thing, and shoemakers dyeing leather. It had all kinds of purposes as a varnish. It was very, very specific. 1600 years ago, a popular ink recipe was created, and that was used for centuries, and it involved iron salts, ferrous sulfate, which is made by treating iron with sulfuric acid. You mix with the tannin from the gull nuts, you know, the ox gull, which was a very early ink that was incredibly popular. And when this is put on paper, it was sort of a bluish black. and then over time it would fade and dull down to brown. And scribes in medieval Europe, 800 to 1500 AD, wrote on parchment or vellum. And there was a 12th century ink recipe that had hawthorn branches that were cut in the spring and left to dry, and then soaked in water for 8 days. They were boiled, thickened, and then they kind of turned black. And these were poured into special bags. Sort of wine was added during the boiling process. And then the ink was poured and hung into bags and put in the sunshine. And then once it was dried, the mixture was mixed with wine and salt over a fire to sort of create the final ink, which I think is absolutely fascinating. There's a huge history on pens. Winsor Newton specifically, if you are interested in the history of this company, you know, they've been around since 1832. I'm going to give her a little bit better hair here. And it was sort of a partnership between a chemist and an artist. And in 1890s, they launched their drawing ink. So Winsor Newton specifically has had drawing ink for ages. I think recently, sort of the addition of these duotones and things where they're adding gold and silver is absolutely gorgeous and fascinating to me. Kind of want to thin this out just a little bit. And it definitely is something that's a temptation, but I don't really use my drawing inks. And I should. So today I'm using them to talk about it, and then on Friday we're going to explore different ways. Obviously I'm just using sort of a weird little angle brush here to do a little doodle, but I have nibs, and I made a folded pen out of a soda can. You can make products if you have all the supplies. I will link tutorials if that is something you're interested in doing. The fact that ink has been around for forever and that artists are still using it and creating with it, I think is just, I think it's wonderful. There are calligraphers on this platform of YouTube that do some amazing things with drawing inks. I will link in the description box videos of people doing as varying different things from me, so you can see all the different ideas and ways to create. I think is absolutely like inspiring and wonderful to see how great all these folks are. And some folks have really interesting ink collections. So if that is something you're interested in seeing from other creators, I will find some folks with some of the more unusual collections of ink that they own and possess. I hope this video was interesting. I hope you enjoyed watching me trying to figure out how to draw a portrait. When you look at sort of trade and the different countries and how they moved things around, ink is absolutely fascinating, you know. They fall into 4 categories. There's liquid, there's paste, there's powder, there's aqueous, there's pigments, there's dyes. There's so much information about that, and you know, some of it's toxic. There are unremovable. They're called indelible inks that are used for like voting and stuff, and those are fascinating. I will link stuff. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.